Now, I actually have one stat that could be even a deeper dive than yours. The rest of them are very much surface level this week. There is one good one, and I was keen to get Rue's thoughts on this and roast him about it last week. But, mate, we sat here all last week talking about Dom Young. I was keen on him. I think Rue said that he's a terrible footballer, should be playing non-massive cup, didn't rate, something along those lines. I can't remember the exact wording.
We actually have we made a video about Dom Young last week. And he said all of those things.
Yeah.
I'll put the highlights of Dom Young's game then side to side.
He's never been a Supercoach pick for Rue. He just doesn't get him.
He has his guys and he has his non-guys.
Yeah.
Dom Young was a non-guy, but I've spoken to Rue and you best believe, guess who's in his trade plans this week? Dom Young.
No.
I'll give Rue one thing.
A backflip.
Talks a lot of shit, but when it comes to Supercoach, and I feel like I've taught him this, he's willing to swallow his pride when he knows he gets run wrong. So it's taken him a long way in recent years. The one thing we did agree on with Dom Young last week was there was a concern over Joey Manu and his glue hands.
Yeah.
Now, I threw something out on social media Friday last week because I looked at Dom Young's stats from this year and I'd gone, he's been sizzling there and Joey Manu's been inside him. So I went back and looked at last year's when I said, is Joey Manu's glue hands not a myth? Because throughout his career he's been a ball hog centre, tucks under the arm and goes. That's his style of footy. I think it's now irrelevant because Dom Young this season, this is updated from my stats on Friday, in 6 games this season, excluding the send-off game, he has 6 tries and 13 line breaks outside of Joey Manu. It's remarkable. Last year outside with Jackson Borlo and Joseph Suoliti outside him in 9 games, there were 9 tries and 8 line breaks. And even like before the weekend, but you just see it now. Joey Manu, he's going to the line looking to draw in the defender and then offload out the back or tip on, whatever it might be. He's changed his mindset and it's made him an even more lethal footballer. For that exact reason alone, I'm swallowing my pride and just getting Dom Young in this week because terrifying not to own. He's averaging this year, outside of that negative 15 send-off game, 93.6 points, 684k, negative 31 break even. I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. Rando, you've got him. Kat, I'm guessing with your score, I'd be very concerned. I'd be very concerned if of your 800 points, 160 were from Dom Young.
Yeah, no.
Biting the bullet this week.
I'm happy to get him in my team. I watched the Roosters presser yesterday and the comments he made really accompany what you just said statistically really well because at the Knights he had to do so much more. And yes, he was top try scorer and all of that, but I think what we're seeing at this Roosters side is that Manu trusts him. Manu is like he's willing to give him the ball. I think we're seeing that Young doesn't have to do as much, but he just has to be in the right place at the right time and he's reaping rewards and we're seeing that in the stats as well. So I think it goes well with what he was saying about his current performance.
Yeah. Even tastier, that Sharks left edge defence is conceding 32% of their tries, which is their weakest edge. So
beautiful.
Dommy Young coming down that side, Roosters right side dominant. Wouldn't imagine him getting over 50 again, I reckon.
Yeah.
Maybe 100. Not going to call it, but.
Yeah, well, that's it. They play around 13, play around 16. It's a really soft draw, certainly after this week. I think it's not necessarily now or never, but after this week, he'll probably rise another 100 odd K. I think you've just got to get him in and cough up the cash for Dom Young. Mate, next one, Jacob Kiraz. Just on Dom Young, firstly, there will probably be a 30 or a 40 in him. We've seen it.
100%.
But he's going to offset that with 120s and 130s at the Roosters.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
like you just take him 40 years.
Yeah.
Jacob Kiraz. Every time you think, I won't worry about him, he's just an absolute goer. 690k, break even of 67. Mixed bag this year, 3 tons and 5 scores under 50. The low of 36, which isn't bad for a CT dub. He's averaging 19 runs per game, 4 tackle breaks, but over the past 4 weeks, he's had run counts of 23, 18, 22, 29, and he's had 13 tackle breaks in the last 2 weeks. A good Origin bye schedule, plays, I believe, the first 2 major buy-rounds, 13 and 16. Also plays 14, the first mini buy-round, and 17. So, it's a great coverage there. He looks the goods. I'm like, it's hard because I'm going to pay it for Dom Young this week, and then I really want Joey Manu before that Origin period, particularly if Teddy gets picked for Origin. Manu goes to fullback, becomes a must-have. So I don't know if I can squeeze him in, but he looks a good buy.
Absolutely, and it's crazy to think that the Bulldogs so left side dominant that he's just putting up the stats that he is. 236 metres last week against the Panthers. Obviously had that try, which would have helped his score as well. But, you know, you can guarantee and offload a bunch of tackle breaks each game from him. He makes each one of his runs count. Saw him hobbling in that Panthers game, so hopefully that's just a little bit of a niggle and doesn't come to bite back. But yeah, he's definitely a consistent footballer. The only thing I'm worried about with the Dom Young and the Jacob Kiraz situation is that Roosters are right side dominant. So Dom Young almost guaranteed to get more ball and try scoring opportunities, whereas the Dogs kind of lean on their left a lot. So you do have those off games that you were talking about where he doesn't turn up.
Yeah. And the biggest tick for Kiraz is like they're quite left edge dominant and attack the Dogs. But the right edge has been moving well as well. So like when we super concerned about that, it's just the form of the Dogs.
Yeah.
They're just playing great footy. And I'd been reluctant in the past to go anywhere near him for that reason, just like lacking attacking upside. Yeah. But the Dogs are just playing great footy. So.
100%. And I'd be interested to see in those ton games if Connor Tracy was playing because he's really right side. Sorry. Got the guru
Hang
cough
in there,
in the
mate.
end.
Hang in there,
gosh,
mate.
It's in the chair.
Yeah.
I think that Connor Tracy really runs that right side for the Dogs because other than that, it's just Burden running that left. You'd never see a fullback kind of interfere in that play. So I'll be interested to see if those hundreds are Tracy games.
Very much off the top of my head, but somewhat similar to Dill Edwards at the Panthers.
100%.
Like basically runs the right edge alongside obviously Nathan Cleary, but doesn't often sort of venture down the left, certainly while Cleary's on deck. So there you go.
Could be onto something.
Mate, next one, just some fallen, I'm not going to say fallen guns, but some blokes as a result of injuries that are getting very cheap in price to keep an eye on in coming weeks. The first one is Jacob Preston with that terrific buy schedule that I mentioned. 570k now with the 24 in his rolling average, playing just 31 minutes off the bench last week against the Panthers. We could be getting him for around that 450 mark leading into the buy period. Looks a terrific pickup at that price, if you ask me. The other one, Heilum Luki, or as the Spy called him on the SC Playbook podcast last night, Heilum Luki. 381k, break even of 54. He's back into minutes after missing about 6 weeks earlier in the season. Mate, you're a Cowboy.
Yeah.
If he can get back to 65 to 80 minutes, which I suspect he will, with Fini Fuiaki on the bench, maybe he's a 65-minute man. But the other thing is, Nanai, probably Origin there somewhere, potentially gets 80 over those weeks. But he could be like 350k in a week or two. Plays round 13, the first mini buy round 14. Misses 16 and 19. But if you can look past the injury history, like he's going to be an absolute steal at sort of 350k in a few weeks. Could you go near him, or does the injury history scare you off too much?
The injury history always scares me. Always seem when I bring on someone who does have that injury history, they do go down. But as you mentioned, Preston, I believe, is their first choice. Second choice behind Kickout, but first choice right, second rower. You can't tell me James Salmon's going to play the whole season starting. And with Fini Fuiaki signing with the Dolphins, Toddy's going to want Heilum. Oh, sorry, mate. No, Luki playing as many minutes as he can because he's his go-to. They re-signed him. He'll be the starting forward going forward. So you know those two players are going to start getting game time soon. Luki starting to get into it. Preston, obviously a few weeks off, a few minutes. So I think they're great buys. Probably wait and watch at the moment, but if you want to get them in quick, then probably
happy to wait and watch.
They'll sit. They'll have to sit for a few weeks.
Yeah, certainly happy to see them bottom out and more so Luki just get through games unscathed and get those minutes under his belt. But I think really, really good buys there. And the other thing about Luki, if you do get him in and you're scared of that injury history, at 350k, like you're not paying 500 for him. If he's fit and gets through games, he's 600k before you know it. But we want to see the minutes. Mate, the last one there, Brendan Piakura, 416k. Come back not as an 80-minute edge player for the moment. So back from injury, he missed 4 games earlier in the year. Minutes have been 68, 75, and then just 52 against the Eels. But look, if he gets back to an 80-minute edge role, he's the exact same. Injury history, can find a concussion, all sorts of things. But he's set to be about 350k as well. Not a great buy period schedule for the Broncos. Doesn't play 13 or 16. Does play around 19, but gets the mini buy rounds, 14, 17, 19. another one. If he gets down to 350k, it's damn cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. His scores haven't been too appealing for me, but definitely if he can get more minutes up his sleeve, but just depends on that, what Kevy's got for his rotation, because I don't really understand why he played less minutes against Para as well. Very interesting choice, but yeah, it's very interesting to see how coaches are going to kind of look into different games. Are we going to see more restings? Are we going to see less minutes for star players where we've seen them get 80 in a row? Can we rely on that consistency? So yeah, definitely one to watch for the time being.